Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back to State of the Dawah, where we gather local leaders and we talk about the American Dawah, the Western Dawah, the English-speaking Dawah. What are our challenges? Where's our progress? And how can we work better together? Today we have a special guest, Shaykh Usta. Welcome to the program.
Allah barik feek, may bless you, inshallah, jazakumullah khair.
So give us a little bit of background for those of you who don't know you. What are the sort of institutions that you're associated with? What are your projects that you're currently running?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So I'm the founder of the I3 Institute. It's an institute built here in Canada. The focus is really Islamic education, but not on an academic level, on a transformational level. We believe in building a Muslim with a mission. We believe in helping our youth realize really the basic idea of Islam so they can live for it. And inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they meet him and they struggled for the deen and help establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah. And you also have several different programs that are like that spin off of that, correct? So you have you have an academy that you're setting up. You have different brands under that. Do you want to give a little bit of a detail?
Definitely. So we have a sisters focused organization or brand under the I3 Institute, which is called the Versatile Muslimah.
Okay.
So it's a sister only organization. They do their activities locally and on national level. Mm-hmm. We have a brothers only organization called Muslim Manhood. Mm-hmm. So it's focuses on basically building the Muslim man in all dimensions, 5 dimensions really: the mind, the muscles, the relationship, we call it marriage, and the money, and the mission of Islam. Yeah. We have also a teenagers organization called Muslim Youth X, MIX for short. Mm-hmm. We also have an organization that helps our youth and our young professionals to basically, get their careers refined and get better basically at career building and entrepreneurship and building their businesses. And the latest and the greatest really is the Islamic College that we've just we're launching right now next month, Al-Azz Islamic Academy. Mm-hmm. And we're offering inshallah bachelor degrees in Islamic studies, in Arabic linguistics, and in Quranic sciences, inshallah.
MashaAllah. So that's about how many organizations? Like 7?
So that's 5 underneath the I3 Institute. Okay. And we have a few others, basically community centers. We have a community center here in Brampton, which we are here at right now, which is the Brampton Muslim Community Center. Mm-hmm. We have the Waterdown Muslim Community Center in Hamilton. And we have Toledo Foundation, which is an Islamic schooling focused organization.
Okay, mashallah. And how long has this taken you to accomplish? Because this is very ambitious. Like, that's the one thing. We've spent about a week together at this point. How long has this taken you?
So I forgot one more bit, which is revert care, which is basically, so with that, it took us, this is our 10th year. Next April is our 10th anniversary. MashaAllah. As a team. Yeah. Like the teams basically built all these organizations separately with different boards, with different basically missions and so forth. Yeah. But the first few basically under the umbrella of the I3 Institute. Yeah.
I mean, I think definitely spending a week together, I think that there's some tremendous good that's going on. One thing that I notice, it seems like you have a background in corporate, and there are several organizations. Yaqeen Institute's one of them, right? And I3 is another, where I think that people are starting to leverage the best that the corporate world has to offer when it comes to institution building, organization, processes, systems, and starting to apply that to Dawah. Because, if you tell somebody, I'm going to start 7 organizations within 10 years, they're going to have multiple locations right across the country. Like, we just went to Winnipeg, others went to Saskatoon. It's extremely ambitious, but there's something both, I think, about the corporate ambition, right? Which obviously, if it's applied to the wrong thing, it's a liability. But applied to Dawah, it's actually quite useful. Yeah. And just the mentality, the almost aggressiveness with which you believe in your goals. Yeah. I think that there's several organizations that are starting to leverage that for the Dawah, and that's I see that as a strength on the whole. I also see the youth and the mobilization. It's like, I think we tallied the numbers. There are over 5,000 attendees, or around 5,000 attendees, all told, from every sort of thing that we've done in the past week. So and we've both had conversations offline about the big common complaint that masajid have, which is that the 14 to 30 age group is absent. Yeah. and most of your programs target that age group, and they actually
Correct.
have mobilized them quite successfully. So that's something that I think a lot of other organizations should take note of, and to see what's working, and to continue down that path of engagement. And I think what you said is also very true. I noticed that the people that you mobilize are very mission driven. And you give them a sense of mission. Correct. And that's a really important part. It's not just about making them feel better. It's not just about giving them what they want. It's not just about sort of, patting them on the back or operating at the level of feelings, though that's something that also has to happen. But
Correct.
I think the most thing that you've gone through is to try to give them a sense of mission.
Correct.
And that is proven. I think you've proven that is proof of concept. It's here. I want you to talk about what are the weaknesses of the organizations that you run. What are the things that you need to improve on? How are you going to fix them?
Yeah, so we have many, to be honest. We had a leadership retreat just a month ago, and we listed 25. So I'm just going to give you maybe the main ones. The main ones, I would say, our marketing and social media presence really is super weak.
Okay.
Like, even though, mashallah, we're making lots of impacts on the ground. We're a very on-the-ground organization. And mindset. Like I love to work with people to help people transform their lives, and that takes person to person, human to human interaction.
Yep.
If I'm just gonna put a video on YouTube or IG, it might basically stir some thoughts and so forth, but that person needs support. Like transformation does not happen without mentorship.
Right.
The Rasul mentored the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. The Sahaba mentored the Tabi'een. The Tabi'een mentored the Tabi'een. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Not just Islamically. I would say basically I was in a training basically for management a long time ago at one of the big corporations here in Canada, and within the leadership training, the professor or whoever basically was in the video gave the example of leadership development like spilling water in a cup.
Right.
If you want to basically be far up there and just put all the cups on the ground, every cup will get a little bit of water, but if you want to create a leader, he's like, you get the cup close to the bottle and you fill it in, meaning the closeness between the bottle, the mentor, and the cup, the student, needs to happen for leadership development to happen. And that's really our focus. Our focus is to develop leaders. Now, I believe basically we cannot be very skewed to that direction. We need to balance it out. And now we're trying to focus, inshallah, with the help of people like yourself and Muhammad Hijab and giving us lots of advice, mashallah, in the last 6 days. We're going to reorient to basically focus on our marketing infrastructure and the social media presence. Number 2 is financial. I think basically, mashallah, institutes like Yaqeen and many others have great financial strategies. And I believe basically financials, we've been able to make some breakthroughs in the last 4 years. Nahmad Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like for example, we helped the Waterdown Islamic School just with your help and Muhammad Hijab's help and everybody else to fundraise. And alhamdulillah, we've been able to, the team been able to fundraise enough money for the school to run. So, we're trying to figure things out, but definitely finances and financial revenue streams is another weakness.
What's something that you feel like you personally can improve on? 3
things basically for next year. I need to start writing. I think basically I've neglected writing because I was leading. I was on the operational side. I did not really, do much writing. And number 2, I need to basically be on social media myself. I think I give lots of lectures. Many things are recorded, not in the best way. So again, that's part of our media strategy to perfect it.
Right.
I have some audios here, bad audios here, bad, some bad cell phone footage here.
Right.
So I need to improve in having that presence. And number 3 is finishing my studies. I think I've neglected my studies and a lot, to be honest, basically.
Yeah, that's a common thing. I think anybody in leadership, there's that responsibility and the weight of responsibility to do dawah, to inspire others, to give, even if we know our own shortcomings, but we want to give what we have. But then if all you're doing is giving and institution building and, then we put ourselves and our own development on the back burner.
100%.
SubhanAllah. No, I think we all feel that. There's an outside perception, and several people reached out to me before coming here. There's a perception that that I3 is divisive. There's a perception that it's sort of staging coups across MSAs and things like that. There's a perception that I3 is really just a continuation of Hizb ut-Tahrir, or is a front, some sort of front for Hizb ut-Tahrir, or a rebrand. How do you respond to things like that?
Yeah, so I responded to that in another podcast last month with the 3 Muslims. I'd love to basically do it one more time here. So let's take it. There's many questions here. Number one, the divisiveness, the MSA issues, and the Hizb ut-Tahrir. So let's start with Hizb ut-Tahrir. First of all, as an I3 organization, we have a belief system that we really believe in, which is being able to see the positivity in everybody. Okay, so we start with that because see, divisiveness and sectarianism is a hard issue. You have to hate the others. You have to look down upon others for you to be a sectarian. You have to exclude others. So it goes from the heart until you get to the exclusion. No, we alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we can see positivity in Hizb ut-Tahrir, and we can see also some of their gaps.
Speak a little bit just about, so what are some of the gaps that you saw or see in the Hizb ut-Tahrir movement? Because people are assuming that, maybe you don't think that there's any. They think that it's a one-to-one here.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Just speak to that just a little bit.
So the three main gaps I see in Hizb ut-Tahrir, number one is the lack of tazkiyah framework. What does that mean, lack? I don't want to basically misrepresent it here, basically, but definitely there's a lack on an organizational level, meaning the organization does not oversee the tazkiyah development of the individuals, but does basically tell them, look, tazkiyah is important, you go seek it out on your own. Same thing with the personal development. Personal development is important. Excuse me, they'll point it out, but they say, look, go and seek it on your own. Most people cannot do it on their own.
That's true.
People need mentorship. People need programs. People need curriculums. People need direction.
Yeah.
So they're very weak at that. Number two, so the tazkiyah and the personal development is one. Number two is community service. Hizb ut-Tahrir, they see themselves as a political movement, and therefore basically they only do what political movements do from their perspective.
Okay.
So there's zero community development, community engagement, community service. We're all about that. Number three is the way basically kind of they think about like changing societies.
Okay.
I think it's one-dimensional. They focus on the political side, let's say,
right,
and they don't focus as much on like developing the influentials within society. So really these are the main three things where I believe there are gaps in Hizb ut-Tahrir, and it will stifle their growth.
Right. And you used to be very, very involved, I think you said, for 20 years. And you left essentially.
Yeah,
right?
I left 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Over 5 years ago.
Yeah,
5 years and a half. Yeah.
So that might, so from outsider's perspective, you might be trained in a way and a language that for other people they might be still seeing you in a certain light, but at least you're saying that you've seen deficiencies and you're trying to move past those deficiencies and actually fix those deficiencies in the organizations that you're doing. And the second thing that you're saying is like, so that you're saying, yes, we love Salafis, we love Sufis, we love Deobandis, we love Berlouis, we love, all these different groups. This is really, I think, important, when it comes to the state of the Dawah and trying to patch things together. Yeah. There's a lot of talk, let me put it this way. We've just started talking about the need for unity, especially with Palestine and everything that's happening in Palestine. I think things are crystallizing for a lot of people how significant and the consequences of both being disunited and being united.
Sure.
So how do we put our money where our mouth is? How do we walk the walk? Because it's good now. A lot of people are talking about unity, and yet we don't see a lot of collaboration, right? Yeah. And when we were in a closed session meeting with some of your students, that was one of the things I challenged them with, right? I said, think about, I want to see an I3 event where both Sufis and Salafis are present and everybody has a good time.
Yes.
Right? Nobody runs away being, takfired or tabdi or like anything like that. So if you haven't done it already, or if you have done it already, how are you going to walk the walk? How are you going to put your money where your mouth is and try to reach out to and collaborate with all these different groups and sects?
May Allah bless you. So first of all, we've done it before. We've done it many times. We invited people from different, segments of the community. That's being done. That being said, let me start with like maybe let's say at least self humility. Really, like being able to humble ourselves. Look, with the Salafi sector specifically, they see everybody else as mubtada.
Okay.
Anybody who's Ash'ari, anybody who's Maturidi. And that's literally like a big, huge chunk of the ummah. Definitely way more than majority, the 50%. So, to be honest, I criticize that attitude. Right? And maybe I over-criticized it, let's say. Or let's say just criticize it. And I think today, basically, maybe criticism to, let's say, a bad behavior might not lead to the outcome that I even intended, which is trying to change that behavior.
Right.
What happens basically when I criticized some of this, not all the Salafis, some of the Salafis, because not all Salafis are the same. They criticized back and they got hurt and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is what you're doing to others. That's number one. Number two, right now, as we said a few days ago, in front of all my students, I'm look, right now what we want to do is to give love to people. Yeah? ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. choose the better path, which is basically send love to those who basically hate you. So some of the segment of the Salafis will hate everybody, or will hate basically many other people. And we're going to reciprocate with love until, inshallah, one day they become very close to us and love the ummah. So this is something I've done wrong. And here basically publicly, maybe for the first time, I say this is something that we've done wrong. That we criticize, like even criticism of bad behavior, if it doesn't lead to the right intended objective, then we should stop. So I realize that, and I'm stopping, inshallah. We're going to reciprocate hate with love. In terms of basically like getting everybody, we have, inshallah, hopefully in April, we want to invite people from all different segments. We want to, the Ikhwanis, Salafis, Deobandis, Sufis, Brailwis, everybody in a conference where basically we can start putting our hands together,
right,
and respecting the differences.
Okay, that's great. What about diversity within I3? Right. So one of the things that I reflect on, I'm thinking a lot about the differences or the similarities between different organizations. And is there an argument to be made that in order to sort of achieve some of this unity, we also have to have that internally, right? Like, like I3 maybe has a particular sort of flavor or particular model, and you don't want to dilute your model or the things that you believe in, but, accepting some internal diversity as well might be another avenue to explore. What do you think about that?
100%. I think it has some truthfulness to it. I think basically at the end of the day, if you diversify everything, you don't get anything. So you do have to have some homogeneous. The reason Islam allows having different movements and different action groups and different madhahib is not for the Malikis to bring some Shafi'is and Hanafis in so they diversify their madhab. It won't be Malikis anymore. But that being said, we have students we have teachers and instructors who come in from different backgrounds that we align on certain things. We agree upon, okay, this is like, let's say, the framework that we're going to work together on.
Yeah.
Because what is obligation from Allah is collaboration.
Yes.
Not intellectual consistency.
Yeah, of course.
So definitely you have some truth to that, but definitely
no, that's a good point. I agree. There's a certain degree. But obviously, if your mission is tailored to, some specific beliefs, then it has to have, a certain uniformity of mission on the inside.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, the one thing I think you didn't address was the MSA issue. That was something I heard from several people.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, look, so when I was in the MSA in the late 90s, early 2000, I was elected to become one of the leaders of the MSA. Right? In the inauguration speech, I told him from today, this MSA is for everybody. It's for the Tablighis, the Sufis, the Salafis, the Ikhwanis, and the Tahriris. I wanted to serve in a way basically where I include everybody. I believe in including everybody.
Yeah.
Since then until today, nothing changed. Unfortunately, what happens is basically some MSA are still on this sectarian mindset. They when people, let's say, like Ikhwanis will basically, for example, will push away all the Salafis. Salafis definitely will push away all the Sufis 100% and 100% rate. Sufis will push the Salafis away from 100%. So it happened we have lots of students. Alhamdulillah, we have over a couple thousand students, maybe even 3,000 students in Canada alone. So they're all over the campuses. So when they want to basically like become engaged in the MSA, and the MSA knows that these are three, if they're sectarian organization, sectarian leadership, they'll push them away. So they'll basically end up saying, well, we need to, get to the positions so we can also basically have a say and so forth. And that creates tension. So this is a problem that I don't have a solution for. I think basically there's two solutions for it in my perspective. Either every Jama'ah builds its own MSA and clearly says, this is my Salafi MSA. This is the Ikhwani MSA. Stop trying to hijack everybody. Stop trying to be a tyrant on campus. Stop trying to basically oppress Muslimin just because you differ with their opinions.
Or outmaneuver each other.
Yeah, it becomes, wallahi, it's a waste of energy instead of doing da'wah and serving the populace.
And there's no continuity either.
Or just basically be able to solve the disease, which I think is going to take time.
Yeah.
So I believe right now, on public, I believe that no, I think we should be able to have different clubs with different, this is what's going to at least, this engaging from each other will at least release the friction. But even then, when you do that, you're going to get criticized. So subhanAllah, may Allah help us.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's important. And, I think that this is something that the college students are going through the same thing that the post-college students are going through.
Exactly.
Right. So it's kind of microcosms one of the other. But there have been a lot of, I think there's been a lot of promise when it comes to starting to turn this around. And, I was very touched by your reflections on your own sort of mistakes that you made, that you shared those with the students in a very candid way. I think everybody needs to be able to have those sorts of, candid reflections and take criticism. I know you've taken a lot of criticism face to face this week from some of us more than others.
Alhamdulillah.
But honestly, it's like when it comes to approaching each other and having that channel open, as opposed to what has been the norm up until now, which is avoidance, hajar, criticizing, just, shouting into the wind, basically, staying in our silos. It's very comfortable to stay in our silos, very comfortable to stay with the people that already agree with you, or the people that are, it's challenging. Community life is challenging. Actually being with people who actually disagree with you on fundamental things is very, very challenging.
Yes.
And some people, as I said, they even criticize me for even coming here in the first place. But I also disagree with that attitude. And one thing that I'll have to circle back to some of the people who reached out to me. I think that you need to have face to face. I think that sometimes we live too much online. I think that, when you watch things from a distance, you tend to, there are certain narratives that you can tend to believe or fall for more easily. When you get in person, you talk in person, behind closed doors, off camera, and things like that. You get the sense for people's personalities. You get the sense for what their mission is, what their background is. You've shared part of your life story, like what this means to you. Right. So then we see each other, we can assess each other's strengths, be frank about each other's weaknesses, look for opportunities, right, to help each other. And the thing is, and this is something that Shaykh Abdullah Shinqiti used to teach us in Medina, that I try to take as my strategy, is that it's better to take your brother by the hand and help them to be better. Than it is 100%. To just stay away from them and criticize them, right? So, there's things that, whether it comes to Yaqeen Institute, or whether it comes to I3, whether it comes to any of the institutes, I really believe that this is the way forward, that we have to take each other by the hand and say, hey, you've got this going on, or you've got this going on. This is really like how you can improve just out of nasiha, right? We throw this word around a lot. But this is something that is becoming a hujja alayna wa laysa lana. This is something that is becoming something that is an indictment on us, that we give it so much lip service, but we're so ineffectual or not practicing the actual, what it looks like to have nasiha towards each other. So I thank you for the opportunity for having me come here in the first place and give you feedback. And I hope that everybody learns, this is part of an education, and why we do these things in front of cameras eventually is to educate the people who are watching, right? Definitely. Because it trickles down. You can take a sports analogy, and I make a lot of sports analogies, that if you see behavior from the teammates, it means the coach is allowing it.
Yeah.
Right? The coach has set the tone for the team, whether it's mockery, bad sportsmanship, good sportsmanship, whatever. At the end of the day, it comes back to the coach. The coach has a responsibility to set the culture. Right. And so as da'is, as people who are at the head of organizations, or people who are, high up in organizations, we have a responsibility to set the tone and the culture for the da'wah and educate people and show people that this is what it looks like. For me to go and do a tour and a talk with people I don't 100% agree with, or an institution I don't 100% agree with, is an education for people. For you to invite people that you have, fundamental bitter disagreements with to certain programs is an education for people.
Yeah.
And if we have zalal, right? If we have shortcomings and gaps where we're not 100% applying this, then inshallah we're trying, and bear with us.
Yes.
and be patient with us, because
100%.
we're also trying to overcome our personal weaknesses in doing that 100%. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you successful, and to put barakah in your da'wah and in all of our da'wah, and to bring it to alif bayna qulubina, right? To put our hearts together, and to help us finally come together so that we can move forward as one ummah, inshallah. So with that, I think we'll close out. Thank you. We're on tight schedule today. May Allah bless you as well. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.